Thank you for joining us for the Miami Valley Salute to Veterans. I'm Cindy LaPointe-Dafler, a volunteer host for the Miami Valley Communications Council. My husband was killed in Vietnam in 1969. He was posthumously awarded the Medal of Honor. Being around our veterans and talking with them, hearing their stories and their thoughts, is my way of honoring my husband's legacy. We hope that these memories from veterans of our community will help us all better understand the dedication of those who served. Today we're talking with Bill Walker of Centerville, Ohio, an Army veteran who served from 1969 to 1971. He'll tell us the story of his time in the military.
Okay.
Thank you for being here, Bill.
Thank you, Cindy.
When you went into the military, were you drafted or did you choose to go into the Army?
Well, it was, at that time, the draft was looming over all of us of that age. And I had transferred from one college to another and lost some credits along the way, and was told that after my 4 years, I was going to be drafted. And we knew a lady on the draft board. I'm from Mississippi originally. And she called our family and said, your name is in. And so rather than sleep on the ground with snakes, I hate snakes, I thought, well, maybe I can become a helicopter pilot, because they were looking for helicopters. It was like a factory. So I took a flight physical and took the tests and was guaranteed that I could get into flight school. It didn't guarantee that I would graduate, but it guaranteed that I had access to that at least.
Certainly.
So I joined. That was in September, but then I went on active duty in January of 1969, basic training, and then went from basic training after 6 weeks, I think it was, or 10 weeks, to Fort Walters, Texas for 5 months of the preliminary flight school. And after that, we transferred to Fort Rucker, Alabama, which has since been renamed. I don't know what it is now. And
we'll call it Fort Rucker for now.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm familiar with that place.
Okay. Well, we spent 4 months there finishing up the school. And then in December, I got my orders for Vietnam to report for duty to depart for Vietnam, actually, February 17th of 1970. So that's kind of how it went.
So you had been to college?
Yes, 4 years, but no degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that close to home or?
Well, I'm from Mississippi, so I had gone to a junior college. I thought I could play football, but I really wasn't big enough or good enough. Then I went to Ole Miss for a year and realized that was not a good fit for me. So I transferred to the University of Southern Mississippi. And during all of that, I just didn't have enough, I don't know, 6 or 8 credits I needed to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So I planned on going back, but it just didn't work out that way. And everything else that happened in the next few years kind of changed the arc of my life. And I have no regrets, believe me.
Yes.
Some regrets.
So you'd been away from home.
Yes, right.
At college for quite a while. It was no big shock to be away from home.
Right.
For this military service.
Right. Well, yeah.
Tell me about your basic training. Was it strenuous?
Oh, yeah.
Was it no big deal? What?
Well, it was in Fort Polk, Louisiana, which were nearly all the warrant officer candidates for flight school went through there. I don't know how it was selected, although they did have a part called Tigerland for those who were going to be in the infantry. Mm-hmm. And the training there resembled places in Vietnam. They tried to emulate that effect, the jungles and the heat. And anyway, so we went through it was very strenuous, but as it is for everyone, I guess. But we were all young and in pretty good shape. So I didn't enjoy it.
You didn't enjoy it?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, some do, some don't.
Yeah. Then going from there to Fort Walters, Texas, was a real shock. They were shouting. We went on a bus, and when we got off the bus, they were shouting at us to harass us for the first 4 weeks, and a few people dropped out during that.
Really?
I forgot to tell you that I had to take a bus from Memphis, and it was not it was not an express bus. We stopped at every little crossroad all the way down to Fort Polk, Louisiana, and that was an education in itself. The number of people on. So anyway, that's how I ended up at Fort Walter, Fort Walter, Texas. Made some very good friends there. I was just talking to one of them how in that flight training that one night in June when we got to go to the officers club, only time we ever got to go, or NCO club, to watch the moon landing, which was such a thrill.
Oh, gosh.
I'll never forget that. Then that training, it was very good training, excellent training. And a few people died during that. That just happens in flight schools, and you got kids learning, and generally mistakes. But it was excellent training. Then we had we were sent down to Fort Rucker. I think we had about a week leave between that. I think I don't remember for sure.
Were you bused there too?
I actually had my car at that time, so I drove. My parents had driven my car out at some time during that time at flight school in Texas, and I drove back, left the car at home, and then drove from there to Fort Rucker after a few days.
So you joined the Army with the intention of becoming a pilot, and
yes, and I thought, well, maybe that might be a good career for me.
certainly.
And I became a commercial pilot. After the experience, I thought, well, I'm not sure I ever want to fly again. I just kind of got burned out. So, but I miss it sometime now. And,
Yeah. What was the best part of your training?
I think the best part was actually, that's two-part. In Texas, we would learn how to fly out to Pinnacle, they called it, which is the highest part of a hill, or it has a flat spot on it. And the reason for that training is in Vietnam, at least where we were, was in heavy jungle-covered mountains, and we wanted to put our soldiers on the ground at the top of the hill so they wouldn't have to fight uphill if possible. So we learned how to judge the winds and how to adapt to those and to get clearance, all about safety for landing and taking off. And a very sensitive little aircraft, looked like a mosquito, very small. And then when we got to Fort Rucker, that training was excellent for tactics, for flying formation, for flying and realizing you're not the only one flying. If you're a leader in flight formation, you have to make sure everyone behind you knows what you're doing. That can be very, very dangerous if you don't. I can't say enough about the training, and that was all in Huey's, and which is a wonderful aircraft, wonderful aircraft. So at the end of that, it was in December, and we all got our orders the same night. They told us we could put down 3 destinations where we'd like to go, but one of them had to be Vietnam.
So it didn't matter what
right.
3 you picked. You're going to Vietnam.
Right. I think I had Germany and Hawaii or something, but surprise, surprise, it was Vietnam. So.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Does any instructor stand out in your memories through all your training? I mean, is there some sergeant that everybody hated or loved, or?
Well, we had one of those in basic training that
That's usually.
He was not on top of that, he was not a man of character. He was not a good man. And I shouldn't confess this, but once at the night range, we had to run out to the range every night. They would pitch these little aluminum discs up, and we had BB guns. We'd shoot it to learn how to shoot. And this guy was really a monster. Anyway, he was out in front of the line giving instructions, and he dropped one of those discs and bent over to pick it up. And I don't know why I did it, but I shot him right in the rear with that BB gun. And I'm not sure puce is a color, but that's kind of what he turned. And we had to do about 1 million push-ups. Nobody gave me up. But I got a lot of street cred out of it. So.
I bet you did.
That was my highlight of basic training.
This is true confessions.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Well, he was later court-martialed for he was stealing from some of the troops. And that just was not a good man.
Yeah. Well, we don't have to name him. Did you qualify with other equipment? Well, of course you
Well, the helicopter. We had gunnery training,
gunnery. Yeah.
and also firing rockets and gun machine minigun. Some with a minigun, not that much training with that. Most of it was M60s, which were standard equipment on the Hueys. Each two of those.
Mm-hmm. So that your first assignment right after training was you're going to Vietnam.
Yeah, right.
What was that trip like?
Well, it's long to begin with. I was supposed to meet two of my friends in Seattle. I think that's where we were taken out from. I think it was Seattle. Anyway, we were going to meet, and when I got there were no motel rooms left, so I had to go back to the sleep. We're trying to sleep in these chairs like this at the airport.
Oh, God.
And then it was a 26-hour flight from there to Vietnam. We went through Anchorage and then stopped in Kyoto, Japan, and then finally in Cam Ranh Bay in Vietnam. And I really hadn't slept much at all at that point, by probably 48 hours. So they issued us bedding and so we bed down, and then later on we got assignments. So I made up, put my the gear they gave me, the blanket and pillow, on a bunk, and went to get something to eat. And when I got back, they said, nope, we're going to be shipping you out. We're going to process you up. So I turned that in, and we went to, I'm not even sure where we went from there, but we stopped in a bar waiting on this, and we had a couple of drinks, which is really good when you're very tired. And anyway, it was a guy who was headed home, I guess, an officer. And he talked to us for a little bit, and he said, we're going to send you all up north, the 101st. That's where the action is. So, well, I have no choice,
Right.
So, but they really weren't kidding. So we flew from there to Camp Eagle, which was near Phu Bai and Hue, the city of Hue, and from there up to Camp Evans, which was midway between Phu Bai and Quang Tri, not far from the DMZ. Mm-hmm. Just totally exhausted, incredibly exhausted. And I don't know if they tried to get me up the next morning or not, but I slept until after lunch, and everyone else was gone. So I thought, well, okay, this is a great beginning. And then I had a check ride late in the afternoon, almost dusk. A captain took me out to check what my flying skills were and if they were up to what we would need. And we flew out there was a mountain range that ran from north to south, just about 5 miles to the west of our camp. And that's where most of our missions took place. But on one, you could see that there was a firefight going on. Firebase Granite was the name of it. And, we flew pretty close and made a low pass, and I was really naive. I put on a chicken plate, armored chest protector, and we were flying by, and I said, wow, I'm really impressed how our guys would give suppressive fire for us coming in. And he looked at me and said, suppressive fire? That's income. That's the bad guys. They're shooting at us. And I kind of tried to shrink under this chicken plate. We didn't get hit, but I thought, I didn't need to go that close, really.
Oh, my gosh.
That night, we lived in hooches, which is a tin roof, and we had sandbags around to protect against mortars and whatever. The sirens sounded, and we were rousted. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning, I guess. And they'd seen activity along the perimeter. They were afraid there might be sappers coming in. Told us to grab our helmets, steel pot helmets, World War II style, and our M16s, and go take up positions to protect our. So I went out. It was a drizzling rain, and had on a poncho. And on the base was an artillery unit that started firing rounds, flare rounds, and they were, I don't know, maybe 2,000 feet or whatever, and then pop, and under a parachute it would drift down. But in total darkness and this kind of a yellowish light, as they drifted down and the breeze moved them, the shadows would elongate or change shape, and you're looking for movement and trying to be as still as you can possibly be. And it was really hard. You'd think, is that a person? And then you'd finally see it was elongate to shadow. And every time a raindrop would hit my poncho, I thought, God, somebody's going to hear that. It's going to give away my position. You could, like you're in a raincoat, you hear the sound much more clearly than anyone else would. Mm-hmm. But in a little while, the siren sounded and it was all clear. So I don't know if any of us new guys slept very well that night, but then it kind of became routine. And our base would get mortar attacks, sometimes rocket attacks, weekly or biweekly. We have bunkers to take cover in.
Wow.
Anyway, that was kind of a quick awakening. Hey, guess where you are?
Yeah.
They weren't kidding.
Welcome to Vietnam.
Right.
How did you feel? I mean,
Well, you kind of have to compartmentalize.
okay.
I'm not going to say you aren't frightened, but you can't concentrate on that because you have a job to do. And we were in sometimes horrific missions, and you come in, you think, I'll deal with it some other time. Because you had to go do it again the next day. And I'd been there 2 weeks, and I'd already lost one of the pilots. Chief pilot was in my hooch. He got killed, and you realize this is not fun and games. So my unit, 158th Assault Helicopter Battalion in the 101st, our job was to take care of the men on the ground. That was our number one job,
Yep.
and to take care of each other. Because those were the heroes, those guys they couldn't get out of the battle. They had to wait. But we were working in Quan Tri, which was midway between us and the DMZ, and just doing resupply runs, nothing really. The guy was flying with Bruce something, I can't remember his name. He let me fly a little bit. I was a brand new co-pilot. And we got scrambled because they called them killer teams. There were 5-man special forces teams in the DMZ, and their job was to monitor movement through the DMZ because they were right across, like 10 miles from where we were. And we were scrambled to go pick up this team. I didn't know what I was doing. The aircraft commander was having trouble reaching command and control, and this guy on the ground was trying to reach us. And he said, "Okay, you talk to the men on the ground. Tell them to stay in contact with them. I've got to get clearances. We had to get gunship support and some other things going on, administrative, I guess." So I made a call to this guy, and he whispered back, and he said, "We have movement. It's like 10 meters, 360 degrees. Don't come in right now." So from 10 miles away, I whispered back to him, "Roger." I'm fine with not coming in. And this was quite an awakening. Anyway, we were flying en route, and he whispered, and his voice was quivering at this point. He said, "One of them just stepped on my foot, but I don't think he saw me." And I thought, this is a noisy, big aircraft, and I've been over the DMZ before, but at that point, it's like a moonscape from Agent Orange. Later on, it returned to being very lush. But anyway, the standard procedure for us to go in and make an insertion or an extraction was to go in with a whole bird, which is what we were, a chase bird to come in case something happened to us, a command and control aircraft, and then 2 Cobra gunships for support.
Mm-hmm.
And when we would be about a mile out from our pickup point or drop-off point, we dropped down to nap of the earth, flying at maximum. We would fly around 110 knots per hour at 2 to 3 feet off the ground. And you can't really navigate when you're that close. So you have to depend on the command and control aircraft to tell you when to turn, how much to turn, and then when to flare. So we were low level, and I was tucked very much under my chest protector. And they said to flare, so we flared, and you can stop very quick and sit down very quickly right where they were. And I just kept waiting for the rounds to hit us. I just knew they were going to hit us. All the Americans were on the ship immediately, and then we took off. I don't think we ever took any fire, and my guess is our enemy didn't know we knew they were there, and they didn't want to give away their position mm-hmm. because we were in the midst of them. A lot of bad things happened there. Mm-hmm. Later on in my tour, I got shot up pretty good there. But I was never wounded, thankfully. No Purple Heart, and that's not a complaint.
No.
And I feel for your husband, by the way, and for you, certainly.
Thank you.
So that was kind of the beginning of it, and then it became almost a daily thing that we were on a mission to, we got called in to Da Nang. It's back to Phu. An Air Force pilot had been shot down and ejected deep into Laos. And I'm still a new guy. This is early April. So I guess for expediency, they pulled the Lancers in, my unit. And I was a co-pilot again. We were the chase bird on this mission. But we were given, it's called a blood chit. It has, it's like a scarf, yellow, and it has in many, many languages printed on there, including French and Vietnamese and Laotian and English. If you find this man returning to the Americans, and you'll receive $500 or whatever, something like that. And we had signed all these documents. Enough time has passed now, we can talk about this. Signed all these documents that said we would never tell where we were. We weren't supposed to be in Laos at the time.
I know.
And American had turned in our wallets and our American insignia, and off we went. We were told that it was far enough in our escape and evasion maps were to Thailand. We were too far away from South Vietnam to try to make it back this way on foot if something happened. And he said, finally, you'll have 10 minutes on station or you won't have enough fuel to get back. So our instruments were really rudimentary compared to today. And fortunately, we could see with other aircraft looked kind of ghostly. We went between clouds on the way out. It was very rainy, and actually, one of the Cobra pilots lives here in Centerville also. Jay McAlpin, a wonderful man. We didn't really know each other until after I moved here and met him.
Oh, wow.
So he was on that flight as well. And we got out to the point for the pickup, and as I said, we would have 10 minutes. And there was an Air Force FAC, which is Forward Air Controller, and a small OV-10 prop aircraft, kind of guiding us. And he had pointed out where the guy was, and the guy popped a red smoke grenade. We would commonly identify if it was the right color. And we could see kind of through a cloud, on the mountain there was shrouded with a cloud. And you could see a red tent in there, so we knew he was down there. And the other pilot, M.R. Jones was his name, did a tremendous job. He went down, hovered over that, and literally blew a hole in that layer of cloud so that he could lower himself enough and put out a ladder with his crew and got this guy out, and we all came back home. Nobody was hurt, but it was an unforgettable mission.
Oh my gosh.
So we had funny, since it was, I won't call it clandestine, but it was a top secret mission at the time. We were got a letter of commendation from the Air Force, but they misspelled my name. Walder, W-L-D-E-R. Anyway, I have that at home, which is kind of, has my Social Security number and everything. I didn't do anything. I was sitting there in case, if my aircraft commander had gotten hurt, I would have flown us, but thank goodness I didn't have to.
God. Oh my gosh. In awe of your story. It's just amazing. Just all your details are.
Oh, thank you.
I'm grateful for your sharing these stories, especially. I do recognize Camp Eagle.
Oh, yeah.
The other, yeah.
Yeah. The Lancers were, we had 4 companies in our battalion, and I think we have over 100 names on the wall. We have 24 for the Lancers. We just did our job, and it was to take care of the men. And if we weren't medevac aircraft, but if we were there and someone was injured, we'd bring them out. And if they were dead, we brought them out. And no matter what, they had the hard job. If we could get in and out without getting shot down, we were okay for a few minutes, but they couldn't get away from that. They were there for the duration.
God. How about a humorous event? Do you have any of those?
Oh, well, yeah, do.
Give me a couple of those.
Oh, well, one of them was had a brand new captain with us, his dear friend. He, when you, even though you've gone through flight school, when you sit a helicopter down, until you've had maybe 400 or 500 hours, you can kind of bounce it around in the skids. You know? And we were picking up a group of South Vietnamese soldiers, and I really think this is no disparity on them. You know how we use lines and are kind of a queue up to go and do something. They would just kind of go en masse around the aircraft. And so Tim was flying, and it was kind of a sandy area, nobody shooting at us or anything. And they all gathered up and were standing around us. And I noticed we were sitting a little bit at a tilt. And I looked over, and this guy was outside Tim's window, just clawing the plexiglass. And I said, hey, you know what, I think you set it on this guy's foot. He said, oh, I guess I did. So we picked it up, and you could almost see his boot throbbing as we flew out. But I don't know. When we get together, we laugh a lot. Which is very nice. When you're alone, remembering it's not nearly as much fun.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's a good one.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure there are more. I have to think about them for a while.
Okay. How did your combat experience change you?
That's really a good question. You discover things about yourself that you would never. There's no other way that you would ever have known, and they're not all good. Good things. I mean, I'm so proud of my service and so proud to have been a Lancer, because we did our jobs. But sometimes you get so angry, you think of things that you could be capable of doing. I never did any of those, but you know, when you lose more friends, and the short story is that people in Vietnam simply wanted their own country back.
Yes.
And we were in war. We just did our job. And it was, when we went over the Army flight regulations stated that there could be no more than 60 flight hours per month for the pilots. Well, during my 12 months, I logged 1,270 hours because you couldn't say I'm not coming because I've had my 60 hours. And we were in such heavy combat so regularly. I believe that we were actually in combat, not continuous, but a few minutes at a time, over 320 days of my 366-day tour. So you would fly into a place, and if you were fortunate enough to get in and get back out, but then you had to go back in a few minutes later to get other people, you know, to get wounded out, whatever. So again, I'm very proud of it. But an incident like the siege of Ripcord, I don't know if you're familiar with that. We were involved in that from the very beginning and all the way through. And it was very impressive how the North Vietnamese were able to mount such an offense with all the weapons, but without cars or trucks. They did it on bikes and by walking through the hills and mountains surrounding that base. And I remember flying out. They were just nightmares going out there. And before you went in, it always reminded me of a hornet's nest. You know, if you've seen a hornet's nest, if they're agitated, you see them flying around. That's what it looked like when you were going toward Ripcord. But those were tracers we would see. It was every fifth round is a tracer, and terrible mountain winds. They had 3 helipads on the base, but we couldn't let them know which one we were going into until just a few seconds before, because they were all zeroed in by mortar rounds. So when we would touch down, immediately, if it was ammunition or food or water or whatever, our crew would get it off as quickly as possible, and we had to take off. We couldn't wait on them because the mortar would come raining down right after that. So you had to be very creative and not let people know which one you're going to go to, because they had our frequencies some of the time.
Oh boy.
But I remember once going in, and I thought, I'm just going to try to come in high above, like at 4,500 feet above the ground. Typically, we went at 1,500 feet above the ground, which was okay for most small arm fire. But for the 51 caliber and some of the other heavier ones, they could go up to 4,500 feet. So I thought, maybe I can get in at 4,500 feet and drop down from high up and maybe get in and out without getting hit this time. And I didn't realize that the jets did their bombing runs from that altitude. So one came up right beside us. I could see his facial expression, could see mine. I was hyperventilating practically. And
Oh my gosh.
and that's how I changed my mind about that altitude. So I went back down.
Yeah.
But we had so many people shot up and that was, I don't know for sure, but I think there was something around 75 casualties during that siege, and it's the only time I ever flew a CS mission. And it felt like a World War I pilot. They had these big CS canisters, tear gas, and we would fly it, and there were marks under the grease pencil marks in the chin bubble, and you'd learn to when to tell them to kick it out, where to land. I won't say it was fun, but it was different, a different mission. I've never had one. Only one of those I ever flew.
Okay.
So I don't know what else I could tell you about ripcord. I'm sure there's a lot more.
Yeah.
One of my hooch mates, very good friend, Bill Havanik, was from Warren, Ohio, and he was landing. Now, the ripcord was a fire base, but all around it, and little pinnacles and other places were platoons and skirmishers to try to to hit contact with the enemy if they were coming in to come after it. So we would go into those. Those were very dangerous some of the time. In fact, once, we would call the ground team, the platoon we were going into, and say, okay, we're coming close, pop a smoke. So if they would pop a yellow one or red or blue or I think there may have been white too. And I saw when I said pop a smoke, smoke came up from 3 different locations. So 2 of those were not the right ones. And as I said, they had our frequencies some of the time. That startled me to think that I might have landed right on one of those. So fortunately, they did a different color and identified it, and we were in and out without getting hurt. It just startled me,
So that's being in the helicopter, let alone flying it, is such a high risk endeavor. I know that there was a lot of loss.
Yeah, there were a lot of loss. And I had been to the Vietnam Helicopter Pilots Association meetings before, which are really wonderful. But in the Hueys, we were a team. An aircraft commander, a co-pilot, a crew chief door gunner, and a door gunner. And we really worked as one, and we couldn't have done it without them. So many of these, as you can see from this picture, that's the typical kind of mountains we had to fly into. So they were jungle covered, and there would just be a little opening. Sometimes we would have to hover down, sometimes like a keyhole shape almost, that the men on the ground had created so that we could get into them. And then when we entered one of those and dropped down in it, our crew chief and door gunner had to tell us all the way down. They would say, "Sir, can you move the tail 6 inches left or back up just a little bit or forward," all the way back down till you got to the bottom.
Wow.
And pick up wounded or resupply or extract people. And then you have to come back up through that. And again, we couldn't have done it without the whole team to get us out of the hole. There is a YouTube video, 2 of my friends. Anyway, the 3 of us were on a mission together like that. This was in probably late August, early September of 1970. One of the men was a Redskin. That's the gunship company we had. Steve Smith, captain. What a wonderful pilot friend. Gave such good cover. And it always was a good feeling knowing that the Redskins, and he in particular, Steve, would be on that mission. But we were with 2 aircraft, just going to go out for a simple resupply run. And Ken Peterson, our maintenance officer, kept us flying. He just worked tirelessly. And anyway, the only flying he really got to do at that point was to do test flights around the base. I guess he had time off or whatever, but he asked if he could go on that mission with me. I said, oh, sure. He's just a really nice man. What a professional. And 2 aircraft, one that went in first, and I think he brought up one of the wounded. It was a deep hover down near Ripcord, and not far from the Ashaw Valley. And he went back. Then we went right after the hover down, and I think we brought out a body at that time. That you didn't, if you could help it, you didn't try not to bring out wounded and dead in the same aircraft,
right.
the same flight. And then on our next trip out, though, we'd finally gotten down, and suddenly these trees started exploding around. I'm talking trees, 10, 12 inches in diameter, was exploding, and the commander on the ground was screaming, "Get out, get out, get out." It was a 75 millimeter recoilless rifle that the North Vietnamese had on a mountaintop, pretty much overlooking where we started to go down in that hole. Mm. And anyway, we had to negotiate coming back up there while we were under fire. And it was kind of scary. I was worried about a tree falling on the rotor. So we got out and we turned, and we were able to we took evasive maneuvers to try to prevent that. And I could hear the gunship pilots, they were firing and communicating. And finally, we were out far enough I could turn. I heard one of the Cobra pilots cheering. He said, "Look at that! Look at it! I can't believe it!" And it was like a white mushroom cloud, not atomic, but just an explosion on this pinnacle that had been overlooking where we went down, and they had hit that, and they were able to knock that out. There was a 51 caliber machine gun there, which was really a helicopter killer. Those were scary. And anyway, we turned, and then the Cobra pilot was saying, he kept calling Steve, Redskin 16, Redskin 16, and there was no response. And we couldn't find him. We started looking for him, desperately looking for him. I mean, we were deep in the mountains. And finally, as we broadened our search, my door gunner said, "Yeah, I see a Cobra going into Firebase O'Reilly," which was another terrible, terrible place. You didn't want to be on the ground there either. But we got down low enough we could see that was Steve's aircraft, and he'd been able to put it down. He had taken a round through the transmission, which means you have limited time to get down, or it freezes up and it just falls. Unfortunately, neither he nor his front seat co-pilot were wounded, but we were able to pick them up and bring them back out to safety. Steve was going home in about a week or two, and I said, "Give me something to remember you." So he ripped off his patch, the Redskin patch, and gave it to me, and I still have it. So like about the year 2000, one of our crew chiefs had set up a website for the Lancers. And this was so cathartic. You're talking to people who share those experiences with you. And it was amazing. Anyway, I saw that a couple of Redskins had visited the site. And I said, "Anybody know Steve Smith?" He was captain. And 2 or 3 answers. No, I didn't know him. And third or fourth answer said, "Let me catch my breath. You found me."
Oh, wow.
Anyway, he came up to visit, and I offered to give him his patch back, and he wouldn't take it. But we've maintained such a wonderful friendship since then. We see each other at these reunions, 101st Airborne reunions most often. But he's going to come up to Dayton for this one too. I'm so excited that he's going to be there.
Well, see, some of the questions are, did you readjust to civilian life? How did you readjust to civilian life?
The year I got back, the worst year of my life. It was just awful. And if you think about it, I'd been gone from really civilian life for 2 years.
Right.
And in particular, the year I was in Vietnam, not sure how to describe it. It's a basic existence because we couldn't go into any town. We played a lot of poker. I mean, you got paid and it looked like Monopoly money, but there was no place to spend it, nothing to do with it.
Sure. We
could get beer and stuff if you happened to be there, but we were so far north at the end of the supply chain, it was usually rustic ends of Carling Black Label. But the point I'm trying to make is you don't realize how society has moved along without your input or your taking part in it. And I just didn't, when I got home, I just didn't feel like I fit. And again, all the things that I had experienced during that year, and everyone else in that, I couldn't confront the memories yet. It was just really hard. As an aside, I remember flying with, I was still a new guy, and we went out to pick up South Vietnamese soldiers' bodies. I've never seen so many bodies in my life. It was like cordwood. And they would, I realize I'm rambling and I apologize.
No, that's okay.
They would pull a poncho over the body and put a length of bamboo down the back and tie the person's body to that bamboo. And they would bring it like game bearers on a safari. But they would just load them in our aircraft like loading wood. And the guy was flying with I can't remember his name. I don't think I would give it. He was a good pilot, good one, but he had me take the aircraft. He said, I got to take a picture of this. And I said, God, do you want to remember this? You want to remember this? There had to be 30, 40 bodies, all just stacked up like the firewood. I don't know if that was cultural, that they handled it that way or what. But and then I remember that we came under fire while we were, and the people who had brought a body out left it standing in the door of the. And as we pulled out, it just kind of slid down. It reminded me of a broom sliding down a wall. I don't know why. That image just sticks with me. But anyway, back. I really ramble. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. And
it was awful trying to readjust.
what did you do?
Well, I thought it was just me. At first, in 1971, I couldn't find a job. I must have been terrible in interviews. I don't know, but. There's a high unemployment rate, and it was at a time when the Vietnam War was at an all-time low for in the public opinion, and some people demonized those of us who were there, which so that's bitterness. It takes a long time to deal with.
Yeah.
But it was just awful. I couldn't relate to anyone.
I understand
my own
that.
family, it was awful. And then finally I saw in the paper, first of all, I saw a sign in Newsweek magazine from a VFW, I don't know where it was in the country, they had a sign in the window or at the door that said, no Vietnam veterans allowed. So, I'm sure that just that one, but what a bitter aftertaste. But I saw in the newspaper that there was something that we were reporting called Vietnam Syndrome. And in other wars, we would have called it shell shock or whatever. And I realized, well, it's not just me, and that was tremendously comforting. But I don't know if it was a macho thing. I didn't know who to go to. I didn't think the Army wanted to deal with me anymore. So it took so many years, over 40 years, 30 years, and my wife, God bless her, Denise DeFulvio Walker, was hurt that I wouldn't tell her things. I said, well, you don't understand. I don't want to remember. I tried so hard not to remember. But then about 2000, there was a mini reunion of VHPA here in Dayton, and I very reluctantly decided I needed to go. And when I did that, what an really emotional. I cried. I mean, it was just at the idea. And I had so much trepidation going on. It was more over having to remember and having to face those things. I knew I'd have to sometime. And the third guy that shook my hand had been my co-pilot when we took 38 hits in the DMZ.
Oh, wow.
And I think in January, either December of 70 or January of 71. The only time anyone in my aircraft ever got hit, which I always, it was the beginning of healing. And my wife has just been so wonderful. She put up with my nightmares and I'm sure odd behavior for so many years. We're married 51 years. It'll be 51 years in July. And God, she brought me home. But it was so hard to face those, confront those memories, it took over 40 years to really, and actually the last 5 years, I can even talk about it. The honor flight did so much for me as far as that goes. And I would never go back to Vietnam, but I visit there every week, every night almost. But for the most part, they're just memories now, not the nightmares they used to be. But I guess I'll always do that. And I'm so fortunate to have been in the Lancers, the finest group of men, the bravest men I think they have to be in the world.
Yeah.
And I count that as a real blessing in my life. But I recently, Brooks Compton, the mayor of Centerville, had asked me to honored me at the Veterans Program in Centerville, and so I spoke there, and that was cathartic. Just to start to talk about it.
Yes.
It is healing. Never easy, but it is healing. Yeah.
Yes. Let's talk about what you're doing now. You're planning a reunion.
Yes. We've gone to the 101st Airborne reunion, and usually in different cities, sometimes at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. And it was so wonderful. You get to see our whole crew, but you don't know how many are going to be able to make it. And we're kind of the age now where you don't know that not everybody's going to make it to all of these. So our unit, the modern day Lancers, who are wonderful, they just treat us so well when we go down there. But they're deployed right now. So I'm thinking would like for us to have one, and what a better place than the Air Force Museum. I mean, they used to have, it was the Army Air Corps before it was the Air Force. And I think about the Doodle Raiders and how they would come back every year and their tie here, and how wonderful that was. And this is a very supportive community for the military. It's a real blessing. So I started to put it together, and I'm really hoping we get going. We've had some wonderful help. It's amazing, the help, and we're so grateful for that. And so I think we're blessed to be in this community.
That's great. When's your reunion? And is this all the Lancers, or?
It'll be Lancers and any family members that want to come out. We're booked in the Hope Hotel.
That's good.
So I'm waiting to get a final count because we have to do some catering issues. We hope to be able to come up with enough funds to have a dinner on the floor or a dinner in the museum. But at night, it's very expensive, like $6,000 just for the space, and then the cost of catering and whatever. So we're going to try to adapt something. Hopefully I have an afternoon sit down in the museum. We can do that for about 1/10 of the price.
Okay.
And hopefully, we're still in the planning stage. We've never done one on our own. So this is our first reunion as just the Lancers and family members. We do have at least one Gold Star family that will be with us, which is always a blessing to have them too. Your heart still bleeds for it, as you know.
Yes.
And I'm finishing up the war story thing. If that's okay, do I have time?
Got time.
When I was, after getting all those hits, just prior to that, I'd been hit by a mortar on short final, and the airspace it came through was occupied by 18 inches of rotor blade, 11 and a half times a minute. I'm sorry, a second. And it came through without hitting. And then it went through a cross bolt in our, it looks like a tail fin on the side that stabilized, and it went through that. Then it exploded. And there were 5 aircraft. The first one went in, and I saw at the bottom of the mountain an explosion. And as each successive aircraft went in, we were only 5 aircraft, the explosion would move up the hill. And I said to my co-pilot, this is going to be pretty close. And just before we touched down, we were maybe 50 feet from the touchdown point, an explosion, an aircraft lifted up. I knew it had been really close, and went into the LZ, and the South Vietnamese soldiers were reluctant to get off during the mortar attack. So I said, we can't wait anymore. We started lifting out. The next one hit right behind us and lifted us up. But the hole in that stabilizer, it defied the odds, and I don't think it was ever the same after that. So it was like, so many of our guys got wounded at different times, and I thought it became almost not if but when. And so I thought maybe in February I could start to get to non-combat flights, maybe, and I think it was February 6th. I'm not sure if it's February 3rd or February 6th now. But that night before, all night long, aircraft were flying into Camp Evans, all night. And I thought, oh, not now. I'm going home in like 11 days. Just please, not now. And got up the next morning. We were all sent up to Quantree and then to Quezon again and I was tapped to be one of the 2 flight leads going into Laos. There were 220 aircraft in each flight, each with 7 South Vietnamese soldiers in gear going deep into Laos. It's called Lam San 719. And we had 30-second separation. Nearly everything we did was single file. And we got in and back out. Okay, the other flight was not so fortunate. But then 10 days after I got home, 14 helicopters were lost in one day during that. We lost two more people, and 2 more of our aircraft again. It was just and I was so glad I felt conflicted. I'm so glad
Certainly.
I wasn't there, but I was worried about my friends who were still there. And anyway, that kind of stuff to deal with. I'm sorry, I'm not even sure I answered your question. I've forgotten what it was.
No, no, we're talking about your reunion.
Yeah, oh, yes,
before.
I'm sorry.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Well, it's going to be so wonderful to see these guys. And I don't know how many are going to make it. I hope a lot will. The stories need to be told. They need to be remembered.
Yes.
And there's just a fine group of men. We're obviously going to split into 2 days for touring the Air Force Museum. We've been invited to go to I think it's Miami Valley.
Military history.
Yes, we're going to have a morning there, and we're still working out the details on food and drink and stuff, but it's coming along, I think.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we have some really wonderful people to work with. Robert.
Kenseth.
Yes, and
Bridget.
Bridget.
Too.
Yes, yeah, they were just incredible, and so we're so appreciative. So that's where we are. I really hope it comes to fruition as we plan it.
Yes. You have a date for it?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. They're going to be coming in on the 12th, and
Okay.
so I'm sure that'll be probably a night on the patio at the hotel and have a couple of drinks, and then the morning of the 13th we hope to be at Fairborn for that meeting with the mayor also, and then go to the museum that afternoon. A dinner that night. We're still working out the details on that. The following morning, going back to the museum again at some point. And I'm not sure, that's time will fill like it filled itself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll go very fast.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much.
Well, Bill, thank you so much for coming in and for sharing with me and our audience. Your experiences. They're just incredible, and
Thank
I
you.
certainly understand that it's hard to. I mean, I went to Vietnam myself with a group of
Really?
B troopers, and they, for 30 years I thought I was fine, and then I came here and I realized I wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry I rambled so much.
And all the success with your reunion.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And this is going to help our reunion too, I think.
Good.
Thank you.